lost audio for part of my video, so I will be doing voiceover. I was just welcoming you to my kitchen and telling you that we will be making meringue ghost today. You're probably thankful that you can't hear any audio at this point, as my son had a friend over for the day and they were being loud and laughing and having a good time. But what I am doing is separating 2 egg whites from the yolks. Save the yolks for another project, or if you want to make bread or something. But into my stand mixer, I put the 2 egg whites, 1/4 of a teaspoon of tartar, cream of tartar, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then I started mixing that until it got soft, just past the foamy stage. I wanted to really mix it up good before we start adding the sugar. You want to use a very fine sugar. I take my granulated sugar and I pulse it through my blender until it's just before the powdered sugar stage. And we will start slowly adding our sugar and vanilla. We'll add vanilla, about a teaspoon, or you can use any flavoring you like. It could be mint, it could be lemon, whatever you like. But with the sugar, you want to slowly add it, 1 spoonful at a time, because if you put all of it in at once, it will overwhelm the meringue and it will not raise and it will not get all stiff, like a hard peak to it. It's just, you'll mess up your meringue. So slow and steady is the way to go when adding the sugar. I don't think I said, but I put 3/4 cup of fine sugar in here. And we just want to beat this up until it gets a stiff meringue. Look at it. That's a stiff meringue. Okay, I have my oven preheated to 200 degrees. You want it on the lowest setting. And you want to move your rack up to just above the middle of your oven. The next, like where you can move your rack up. I can't think of the word I'm trying to look for right now. But the next one up above the middle. Because these are going to have to bake for an hour in the oven. And then after they bake for 1 hour, do not open your oven. Just turn your oven off and walk away. And let them sit anywhere from an hour to 6 hours in your oven. You just want them to get nice and dried out so they're not chewy and gummy. Alright, I'm just going to get some of this meringue off of here. Now with this meringue, you want to try and work with it fairly quickly. You don't want to leave it just sitting. I'm actually going to move my mixer out of the way here. Got my piping bag. Now this is the same recipe I use to make my mushrooms for when I do our Yule log cake, or we do a fall log roll. We like meringue mushrooms on there. So this is the same recipe. I'm just going to do the shape a little bit different. I've already got meringue on my fingers. This is a sticky process, which, if you're not making a mess, are you even having fun? I'm sure there's an easier way to fill these piping bags. It would help if I had a bigger piping bag, but I'm out of the big ones. So let me get this filled really quick here. Now that I've got my piping bag filled, it's kind of a mess, but that's okay. Today's been a busy day. I just don't want it coming out the top of my piping bag, that's all. Space down here, get my fingers. Now I want to cut off, because I want these to be little ghosties. So I'm going to cut off about this much. Make an opening about like that. So what we're going to do is I have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. And I'm just going to press down and pull up. Make little ghosty shapes. These will not spread as they bake, so you can put them fairly close together. But you need to leave a little bit of room so that they can get air around them as they're baking. I'm just going to type out a tray full of these. And like I said, if you want to do these different colors, you can. I'm just leaving them white because they're going to be little ghosties. Some of them can be fat, some of them can be skinny, just however you want to make them. Some of them might lean a little bit. I normally double the recipe, but I decided since I was making this, I would just do a single batch. This poor little one's going to be all just everywhere because he's the last in the piping bag. Well, he's trying to fall over on me. That's okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let me get a cup of water. Hold on. I've just got a cup of purified water. I'm going to dip my finger in there and then just kind of flatten out the top of them so they're not all pointy and curlicue on the top. Just take that little tip, push it down in there. You don't want a whole lot of water on your finger when you do this, just a little bit. I mean, if you want to leave them that way, you can. All right. My meringue cookies are ready to go into the oven. Look at those little kind of ghosty shapes. All right, I'm going to put these in the oven and I will leave them for 1 hour. All right, we'll be back later. My timer has gone off, so I'm just going to shut my oven off and walk away. I will set my timer for another hour and I won't even open the oven until this hour has passed. We'll be back. A couple of hours that I've let these sit in the oven. We got busy with a bunch of stuff. So we've got these little ghosty shapes. And now for the fun part. I'm going to take some of this. If you want to make your own royal icing, you can. I just don't have time. So I'm just taking the cookie frosting, cookie icing, and eyeballs. And we're going to glue the eyeballs on using the icing. So just on the back of the eyeball, put a little bit of your cookie icing. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. And then place it on your ghosty. You can give them cross eyes. You can give them eyes that are close together, far apart. You can give them whatever kind of eyeballs you want. And then you have these little crazy looking ghosties. This little guy, he's staring up in the air. So yeah, I'm going to get eyeballs on all these little ghosts. And then I'm pretty sure the kids will be into them after that. Thank you for joining me today, and as always, happy baking!
I want this guy.